बता दीजिएगा. Hello students, today we will discuss GS paper 2 IR sections, and in these sections we will see how many questions have come and what was the level of difficulty in the questions. This is Dr. Bijendra at Plutus IAS, and we will discuss IR sections from the GS paper 2, right, and we'll explain you answers also, right. So let's see the question, right. What are the nature of the question this time? Now the first question is very much contemporary question, right. The West is fostering India as an alternative to reduce dependence on China's supply chain as a strategically to counter China's potential and economic dominance. Explain this statement with example, right. Now this is the first question. Second question is critically analyze India's evolving diplomatic, economic and strategic relations with Central Asian republics, highlighting their increasing significance in regional and global geopolitics, right. Now look at the third question, right. These two questions were actually 10 mark question, right. It was one has to write in 150 words, right, both the questions, right. So there was two shorter questions and two longer questions. These two questions were very Now look at the two longer question, the terrorism. The first question is on terrorism, right. Terrorism has become significant threat to global peace and security. Evaluate the effectiveness of the United Nations Security Council's Counter-Terrorism Committee (CTC) and its associated bodies in addressing and mitigating this threat at international level, right. Now this fourth question is discuss the geopolitical and geostrategic importance of Maldives for India with a focus on global trade and energy flow, right. Further, also discuss how this relationship affects India's maritime security and regional stability amidst international competition. So there were 4 questions. 2 questions was shorter and 2 questions was longer, 250 words, right. So there was equally divided, and if you look at this time, question was moderate, right, and very it was those who have, why moderate, because no one may have this was the question which is very much older, based on old initiative taken by the United Nations. Otherwise all questions were very easy, right. All 3 questions were very easy. Now let me discuss the first question. The first question is, the West is fostering India as alternatives to reduce dependence on China's supply chain and strategically to counter China's political and economic dominance. So one can start with introduction, right? And introduction one can write, right? Intro in right. We are living in the age of Cold War 2.0, in which China is competing with the West, especially with the US, right, especially with the US, right. Now one can bring question, the rise of China in India, the rise of China and the world, right, and the world. Now one can start, what is the impact of rise of China around the globe, right. Now if you look at the US, wants to maintain a status quo, in international politics. Now second, China wants to not only dominate social, economic, right, and military sphere, but it also wants to replace US. It also wants to replace US. Right? Now, China is threatening its neighbor. Like Philippines, India, right? And it is, claimed on 9 dash line in South China Sea and also in the East China Sea, right? And therefore the West, right? Then now you can write the West, right? The West initiative to curb China. Right? Now what West has initiated? It shifted focus on India, right? Like the US has made several agreement with India, right? Like SOSA, right? And helping India in security matters, right? Now second, right, the Europe, the EU and UK is making free trade agreement, have made free trade agreement, right, with India. Now France have made a strategic partnership with India. Now fourth, there are multiple forums like Quad, which is a US-led, a military alliance to contain China, right? So 150 words, and then you can write, Japan. You can write about Japan, right? Japan, how Japan multiple project that has been shifting from China to India, right? So one can write about it. Fine. Now let me move to the next question. Right. Critically analyze India's evolving diplomatic, economic, strategic relations with Central Asian republics, right? Highlighting their increasing significance in regional and global geopolitics, right? The location. Regional means what are the, their significance in regional politics, like SCO or politics in Afghanistan, right? Or political instability in Afghanistan, right? And global geopolitical means, what is happening in the Ukraine, Russia, or Israel and Hamas, and so on and so forth, right? So first you have to talk about what is Central Asian Republic. Central Asian Republic. Asian republics includes, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, right? So write about there are 5 states: Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, right? And it has, they have good relations with India, right? And India had made relations, just after their separation from the USSR. Right? Okay. Now these countries are important due to their location, right? As they make a channel, make a bridge between Europe and Asia. Right? Now, the new development with Central Asian Republic. New development in India's engagement with Central Asian Republic. Right? Now write about, since 2015, India have relations with Turkmenistan, Kazakh, regarding cyber security, anti-terrorism, right? Anti-fundamentalism, then drug trafficking. Afghanistan is a country where drug is produced largest number, right? And there is a drug trafficking all around. Then on terrorism, this area are actually under the grip of terrorism. Now India and Central Asian country have made several agreements to curb this. Now then you write about the India and Uzbekistan agreement on defense partnership, right? Turkmenistan against, right? India Turkmenistan relationship on defense partnership, right? Cyber security, right? Energy security, right? And so on and so forth. Now this relationship actually also supports India in countering China, because China has also large influence on these countries, and China are actually having good relations and trade relations with, right, with these countries, right? Now if you look at these regions are very much unstable, right? Because here regional problem, this region is very much unstable, right? Due to terrorism, due to due to terrorism, and due to the drug trafficking, due to cyber security, due to religious fundamentalism, due to human trafficking in these areas, right? And now talk about the importance of Central Asian in geopolitics, global geopolitics. Now Central Asian countries are very important in global geopolitics, right? Because they make a link between Asia and Europe, right? In context of Ukraine-Russia war, right? Their importance is very much needed, right? So write about the global geopolitical politics of this region, right? And its importance, and then would conclude the answer, right? It's 150 words. You have to write in very much limited words. You cannot expand your wing, right? So fine. Otherwise, if you look at, this question was unexpected. One may find very much, unexpected questions. But UPSC, it is UPSC. UPSC always give surprise. Now come to the terrorism. Now terrorism has become significant threat to global peace and security. Right? About terrorism. What is terrorism? Right? About terrorism, right? And its impact on global politics. Global politics. Now, and its impact on global peace and security. Now, if you look at, the UN Security Council CTC, right, have evolved or have been framed in the post 2001, in the post 9/11 terrorist attack. Right? Now write the objective or aims and objective of the CTC. Right? Aims and objectives. So if you see the, first write about some basic facts, right? It had been established through human resolution number 1373, right? Now its aim is preventing terrorist act and mitigating it and its mitigation. Then also curb the financial, then appeal to the member states to to cooperate on terrorist activities, terrorist issues. Then it has 15 members. If you look at UNCTC, it has 15 members who will impose the law on these resolutions on terrorism globally. It has to curb the international financial chain of terrorism, right? So write aims and objectives, and then talk about its associated bodies, right, about mitigating this threat at international level. Right? Now, if you look at the UN Security Council, CTC, it has two body basically. It has two body. One is CTC, which has role of mitigating, curbing, mitigation, then cooperation, right? Then financial cut, financial curb on global finance, right? Then taking initiative, right? Now another is CTDE, right? CTED, not DE, ED, right? Now his and CTC came in 2004 or 2001. Now CTD came in 2004. Now this is a political organization, political body, right, to mobilize countries against terrorism, and also gathering, mobilizing, giving philosophical ground for the CTC, political support to CTC, right? Now then analyze the role of the UN Security Council Counter-Terrorism Committee. Now even after the UN Security Council have formed, passed resolution and formed anti-terrorist institutional mechanism, but there are multiple challenges, right? Multiple challenges. For example, the world are still facing threat from terrorism, and there are multiple terrorist organization in entire world, in all, approximately in all this continent of the world, right? Then the terrorism is some activity, it is a global activity, right? It is a global activity, and no one nation can take actions alone, right? So there should be international cooperation, and international organization like United Nations is a suitable institution to take initiative against the international terrorism. Now for there is a further next point one can write, there is a need to reform in United Nations structure, right? Even related to United Nations Security Council or United Nations, the Counter-Terrorism Committee, right? And the more country should be included in it, because it is actually it is an elite body, right? Formed after just 9/11 attack, and only 15 countries are the member of that, right? Okay. So in this way you can finish this answer. Now let me talk about the last question, right? Discuss geopolitical and geostrategic importance of Maldives for India, right? With a focus on global trade and energy. Everyone knows that. Look at, this is India's map. So if this is India's map, right? Now if you see that Maldives is somewhere here, right? Somewhere here, right? And here we have Sri Lanka, right? And if you look at, this is Indian Ocean, right? This is a Indian Ocean, and here the most of the international trade, approximately 80% of the international trade passes through this road, right? To all over the world. And China wants to maintain dominate. So if you look at, China wants to China already had claim on South China Sea and East China Sea. Now it has making presence over the Indian Ocean, right? Now what are the major problem with the presence of the China? Because China has trade routes, and it has increased the military presence in this road, and it has, due to the with BRI project, it tried to take the India's neighbor country like Maldives or Sri Lanka or Bangladesh, right, under its influence. It is already developing a Gwadar port, right? So this Maldives is very important for India, geopolitically, location wise, because this route is a trade route, because India's trade also with the Asia and Europe comes from this side, right? And geostrategically means security wise also, right? India's security is on threat because of the US presence, US presence in Diego Garcia Island, and China presence, China shipyard is always placed in the Hambantota port, right? Now what measures India have taken? Now look at, Indian Ocean is also major source of energy, right, which India needs to explore, and it will explore, right? if the other country like China or the US, right, will have the dominance over the Indian Ocean, right, it will have difficulty for India to secure and to seek their energy security or maritime security. At the same time, Maldives is a very important littoral state, which is strategically, geopolitically, right, and is very important for India, right, because India is a very vast territory. It is it is the biggest country in the South Asia. So the first part should be treated like that, and then further discuss how relationship affects India's maritime security, regional stability amidst international competition. Now, if look at India's relationship with neighboring country is not developing, and it's actually going adversely because of the several anti-India campaigning in Bangladesh, in Maldives, right? Pakistan is already engaged in anti-India campaigning, right? Myanmar is in problem, right? So if you look at the and what happened in the current political regime, led the anti-India campaigning, and India had to withdraw its military unit from Maldives, which had presence from the long back, right? So right about so now talk about the India's maritime security. Now India is making Quad, India is making its presence, it is increasing naval bases, right, in Indian Ocean. It has taken Sagar 1 and Sagar 2 policies to help the littoral state, including Maldives, right. India has actually initiated another program, for example, Neighborhood First policy, right. India is also taking the military naval exercise with multiple countries like US, Australia, right, UK, in Malabar area in order to ensure the India's maritime security, right. And Maldives relations with India, India is very important because of Maldives should not come under the direct influence of the China's, and China should not entirely influence Maldives, right? As India, it would be a very threat to India's maritime security, right? So one should write about the complexity. Now Maldives is a part of the BIMSTEC, so one can bring BIMSTEC here, right? So multiple things can be written, multiple data can be written, right? And India has also initiated many programs, right? India had given line of credit to the Maldives. India had also supported Maldives during COVID pandemic through vaccines and other PP kit and medicines, right? So having good relationship with Maldives is utmost important for India. So this way one should finish the answer, right? So with this very short analysis, I will end here and see you next time. Thank you so much.